Greetings, friends and future friends. Today I want to show you how I write songs with the Korg Pa5x. Using the Chord Sequencer makes it a lot easier. You can really write songs a lot faster. I'm using a wide shot today, but I want you to see what's on the deck and what's up on the screen. Now I'm running an HDMI cable out of my Pa5x up to that screen. And if you have the chance to do that, that really helps out. You're going to see why. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is come down here and hit chords. Now this brings us to the chord sequencer. And as you can see, there's no chord sequence playing. Now we have Best Rock 1 style. You can also play style 2 at the same time, but we're just going to use style 1 for now. Now, I like to keep it in this mode right here because then I can see the beats. The sequence is accurate too, but not quite as accurate as it is up here. I can see the measure change and the beats. So, the easy thing to do is just start recording. So we hit record. Once that red light's flashing, away we go. Now we hit start sequence and bingo. There's our sequence we just recorded. Now there's a couple of things we can do with it. If we're happy with it, we can leave it the way it is, or we can re-record it. And I'm kind of happy with the way it is. So now let's go up here and do a save chord sequence to library. And we're going to name it. We'll get out of this. And just for 1, 2, 3, test. Okay. 1, 2, 3 test. Save. Now we just saved that chord sequence into the chord sequence library. We could go and save that style, and the style will recognize that chord sequence, but it's in the library. Let's just check. So now we're in user. There it is. 1, 2, 3 test. That chord sequence is right there. Let's escape out of that. So now we've got the chord sequence recorded and we have it stored in the library. So now let's push this icon right here and that brings up to the big screen. Now we have the whole chord sequence written out. And you can see all the chord changes. You can see on bar 9 we go to A minor. On bar 13 we go to E minor again. 17 is D and 19 is C. And so on. There's our chord sequence. Now, if I was happy with the way things are, and this was just a soundtrack I'm doing, I can actually run this into my DAW system. Now making sure, we got to go back, making sure the beats per minute, 145, it's 145 beats per minute, is actually the style tempo. And I want to make sure that my DAW system is at that same tempo. Then all I'd have to do is hit record on my DAW system and play back here at the same time. The style would play, all 6 tracks would be recorded into my DAW system. And I've done it many times, and then you go back and you can loop things and make a continuous loop. So if you're writing a soundtrack, you could do it that way. And basically right now, you just wrote a song that you could put in your DAW system, edit it, and you'd be on your way. But I want to show you another cool thing, and I've done this many times. And I apologize because my accuracy is not going to be as good because I'm shooting the video, one-man job here. And I'm also going to try and keep in tempo. But you got to think like a drummer. A drummer doesn't start. If he's going to bring that accent in on measure 4, he's going to have to start it early. So knowing that, you kind of bring it in early. And what's really cool about this chord sequencer, if you can look up on the big screen, you can see that the slash marks are each beat. So when that's playing 3 2 3 4 4 2 3 4 5 2 3 4, you can actually see that sequence playing in the beats. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some fills. Now, just saying, I am not doing it, but if I was recording this, I could put these fills in and they would be recorded. So let's try it. There's one fill. See how you can put the fills in? 1 2 3 4 3 4 3 4. So now what you've done is you've actually added fills while that sequence is playing. And again, because it's already recorded there, you don't have to play the keyboard, but now you can adjust fills and variations. Now, let's try, and when this thing hits the A minor, let's change from variation 1 to variation 3. Do you see what I mean? If I'm not on time perfectly because I'm trying to shoot the video and make sure what I'm doing on the keyboard at the same time, but you can bring in fills, you can change variations during this chord progression. So like I did, I went from on the 9th measure at that A minor, I brought in a variation 3 or variation 4. What's really cool about this chord sequencer is you can see the beats. As you're looking up on that big screen, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, now you can also bring in a 4-beat fill. Let's see if we can bring in a 4-beat fill on measure 3. My timing is a little bit off, but you can see what I'm talking about. So you've seen how we can add fills and change variations with the chord sequencer. We can actually count in beats. If we want to get a variation started and go in there, 1, 2, and change that variation. But also we can bring in intros and endings. Now, I'm not going to program the intro to this because this is just an example, and we're going to use the intro one in this. So I'm going to go to variation 1 because when I want my chord sequence to play, I want it to play variation 1. So I got chord sequence up, my variation. I push intro 1, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that E minor where I want it to start. Then make sure that I push start sequence right after that. Because if this start sequence light is not flashing, the sequence won't come along. So let's try this. All right, we got intro 1 on. It's going to go to variation 1. And we don't have any flashing light here yet. So let's start the intro. Now the sequence is shining, or flashing. It's going through the intro. Now it's playing the whole sequence that we just recorded. And we could add fills, or we could add anything we want. Want to add a variation change on that A minor? Now what we're going to do at the end of that fourth, we're going to hit the ending. Now see how is that not cool or what? So what I did is when I got to bar 24, I'll do it again. When I hit bar 24, what I was going to do, when it would hit the bar 25 or start over again, on that beat, I hit, boom, ending 1. So when it came down to that, it went 24-1, 24-2, 3, 4, the 25th measure, that was beat 1. Boom, the ending came right in, and you see how you can play it. So you can actually play intros and endings with the chord sequencer. So what I could do if I was recording this song is I could go in and figure out what variations I want for this and play them and record that, and then start the intro, then go through my variations. Maybe I have 3 verses. I would run that 3 times. And at the ending of that third run through of this loop, on that beat, the first beat of the 25th measure, I hit that ending and it plays it. So I'm going to try this again just to show you what I'm talking about. Because each slash is a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When it goes to the 13th beat, let's hit the ending. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that this ending sounded different from the first time we did it, because we started this ending on the 13th measure, which was an A minor. The intros are played by the first chord you play, and the endings are played by the last chord you play. So, with a little bit of playing around with this, you can see there are endless ways you can write songs with this. I mean, I could do the intro into any of these parts, or play the ending to this loop. This could be your main loop. And again, you can change variations as you go on. And what's really cool, and I'm telling you, it's really neat. If you're in my studio right now, you'd see there's this big screen up there. That's a 21-inch screen, and it's showing that whole chord progression. And I can see where all the notes are and count them in. So that's how I write songs with the Korg Pa5x. I hope this gave you a little bit of information so you can start writing songs with your Pa5x. Take care, my friends.